People, deluded, I'm back again. Now, I can't lie to you lot, people, yeah. We're all under no illusion how tough it actually was, the job Arteta has at his feet, or better yet, has on his hands to return Arsenal to being a team that you could say could challenge for the top 4, or even right now challenge for a top 10 finish, top 5 finish, let alone league titles, consistent Champions League, attract all the big names and all of these sort of things every man wants or woman wants for their club. We're a long way away from that, yeah. Pardon me, and we were under no illusion that, you know, Arteta, he's going to need to be backed. And, you know, I'm pretty sure if we go through that game again, Arteta there might have been things he felt he could have done better with his lineup. Again, it's same old with individual errors. If it's not Luiz today, it's going to be a midfielder tomorrow, or Mustafi this day, or Bellerin this day, or this guy, or this guy, or this guy. There's always these errors in it. But we need to look at the people above Arteta now, because, you know, Arteta is not a magician. You're only as good as your tools. And I think Arteta, unlike Emre, Arteta's shown he can coach players that we thought are past it. I still think Mustafi needs to go. But there's, for example, there's a dramatic improvement in him. You know, I'm trying to not go too overboard, but there is. So Arteta's shown that, you know, for any manager that's going to come into Arsenal, you need to be prepared to, you know, work with some of the existing players that are here, and also be able to produce results if you don't necessarily get your first target. Like, don't get twisted, I have sympathy for Unai Emery. Apparently he wanted Partey, he got Torreira. Apparently he wanted he wanted Nzonzi, sorry, / Partey. He got Torreira. It's not the man he wants. You can still do a job, but it's not the man he wants. He wanted Zaha, he got Pepe. You get it. I have sympathy if you don't get your targets, like I would with any manager, but you still got to make them. You still got to, be prepared to not get your first targets and be able to deal with it, people. It's like Christmas when you're younger. It's like, I don't know for you spoiled kids, but, you know, your mum would let you make a list and you would have all the hopes, but whatever comes back, comes back. You have to work with it, innit? If you wanted this and you got that, you have to work with that and not this. Do you get it, people? But at the same time, the task is too high, people. The squad for years, and so a lot of it's actually not to do with Raul Sanllehi the Luiz one, but for years this squad has been underwhelming. We've been making poor decisions, and we're here with the amount of players on the wage books, you know. Arteta, and I don't know, Arteta don't even believe that himself. He's out here saying our player on the most money, meant to be our star player, at a time where you're allowed to not only make more subs but have more men on the bench, is left out for tactical reasons. Whatever that is, it shows the mess we're in, people. You know, it's almost arrogant by Arsenal that we can do that. Do you get it? Because that would assume you're leaving, and we know he's not your best player, but your best player out there, out of the team, and you're expecting results. Go and sort out. I think Ozil said till he runs out his deal, but sort that out. Do you get it? Whose idea was it for overall 24 million outlay on Luiz? Clearly this whole agent thing isn't working, utilising agents. For me, there's no clear philosophy as to what we're doing. You got rid of Mislintat, okay, bring in someone else. If you're saying we're going for more, we're doing this more experienced thing, cool. We're doing this youth thing, cool. 1 minute it looks like we're doing this experienced thing, then these prime players, then we're rolling with these young players. Obviously, in an ideal world, you'd have these young players allowed to express themselves with the players that are experienced, if not by age, just by playing a lot, are surrounded by them. But I'm not seeing clearly what we want. The main thing for me with Raul Sanllehi, contracts, that was the most thing that excited me the most when this man came into the job, people. He spoke on contracts. He said, you know, if you're running down your deal, Aubameyang. Like with every poor defeat, why is Aubameyang going to be here? If every win, you know, we can't keep Aubameyang. Saka, I do think we'll come to an agreement, but who am I to say that? Do I work for Arsenal? Do I know Saka? Do I know any of that apart from having faith as a fan? I'm looking at Raul. I keep saying Raul, but I'm looking at Raul, Edu, Vinay, all these men above Arteta now. You need to help him out, because there's no way. And we did hear executives of both parties, City and Arsenal, were at that game. So not that you need to, but you've seen first-hand, people. I like Marie, but from what I've seen, you haven't seen much. He don't look like the guy, first choice sort of thing. Luiz and Mustafi, they can have good form and stuff, but it tends to be in the big games, whether it's the Chelseas, the Liverpools, or last night, one of them will always let you down. Or if it's not them, it's another one. Like I said with Leno, you sign Leno, you know, it should be pieces of a puzzle. You know, if you sign Leno, you meant to make sure you have decent defenders to go with it. One positive yesterday is that Tierney and Bellerin obviously got significant minutes and they both looked all right. You know, Saliba's probably coming in to join that jigsaw. But where's the other centre-half? You know, go on and bring in a centre-half or two. a lot of our errors or goals we concede, we focus a lot on defence, but midfield is a problem. Offensively, you saw it. We couldn't get anything. Xhaka isn't perfect, but Xhaka can play a ball forward, and even if Xhaka was there, we would have struggled. But when Xhaka came off, it's no coincidence that we struggled even more to play a football forward. And to be fair, I like Xhaka, but we shouldn't. Xhaka is not of that quality to be as reliant as we should be on him, people. Do you get it? As much as I like him, go and bring in some dynamic midfielders. Guendouzi and Joe, with all respect, I've got a lot of time for both of them, especially Guendouzi. But if they're the most dynamic options, if they're the two options you're going against, the two reigning, the current reigning champions, at least until Liverpool can do this thing, you're in problems. Go and bring in a decent midfield that can protect this defence so that we can get a proper unit, because we're going to be in the same thing. Arteta's not a miracle worker. Do you honestly believe these players can mount? Currently, the amount of the quality of playing style, do you think over a 38-game period they can mount a sustained top 4 challenge, regardless of if they're in the Europa League or not? It's a madness, and we're slowly walking even more into the abyss, people, because we're out of the Europa League. There's no second chance saloon gulag sort of thing now. We're not getting top 4. Mathematically, you can talk to your blue in the face about potentially getting that, folks, but it's a myth. We're relying on too much. Spurs and United are playing. I'm not a United fan or a Spurs fan or a Chelsea fan. I actually have friends of all them clubs, and I don't want none of them to get top 4 out of push. Because Chelsea are rivals, but my Chelsea mates, they're the most bearable out of the Spurs and United ones, so I could probably deal with that. I don't want United to get it, people. The verbal would be too much. I don't want Spurs to get it. I don't want Chelsea to get it. But even then, we're relying on too much of them. There's no point having false hope. All we can do in these last 7, 8, however many games now, blood these young players, get them some more experience, because with every game that Eddie and Saka and these men play, they're getting better. Arteta is another game for him to see what works, what doesn't work. But a lot of this is psychological now, people. As much as I hate Luiz and Mustafi and these players genuinely making mistakes, it's how you react. Mistakes, red cards, all of these things happen. It's how you react. How you react from the first one. We didn't react well enough, and obviously that is at the feet of Luiz, because if it's not Luiz, it's somebody else, people. You'll have seen this several times, people. And I have to get into the thinking, what's going in Luiz's head? He's come off the bench. You should be vexed that you never started. You've come off the bench. It hasn't banged for you. You've made the mistake. Alright, cool. You hold your L. You've had time to go into half time. Even more to sit down than more than you was doing in the game. Sit down and think, people, about what on and what you're going to do better. You've come out and within 5 minutes, obviously I don't know if it's actually 5 minutes, but within 5 minutes you've made another error. What's going on with the thinking at this club? And I do think it's way too cozy. It's way too easy, and people are not dying for success in this team. People would like to be the Champions League, and people would like to be this good team, but I don't think they're dying to win. I don't think it keeps them up at night. I don't think it doesn't. I don't think these guys truly want to be better than they was yesterday. And if you do, I feel sorry for you. In fact, there's a couple, man. I think Saka wants to win. Torreira weren't involved. I think Torreira wants to win. I think Aubameyang wants to do this thing. Martinelli, when he does play, even though he's been starved. Eddie wasn't amazing yesterday, but I can't even get at Eddie. Eddie and Leno, probably the only 2 players I got a lot of time for, excluding Bellerin and Tierney. I think they did okay. But I saw Eddie looked like he was on this thing. Eddie looked like he wanted to be out there. Yes, he was offside a lot, and he didn't really get much joy because, again, our midfield we're not offering, but he looked like he's on it. Leno, very rare, if you're losing 3-0, and you're saying your keeper was the best player on the field, I gave him a 10 out of 10 in my player ratings, shout out to him, but it means you're in trouble. It means you're in trouble. And a lot of it was to be expected. It was to be expected, Leno being our best player, facing a lot of shots and stuff. But we wasn't woke up. Even when it was 0-0, how many times were we undone by City taking quick free kicks? Where's the concentration? Where's the thinking? Psychologically, what's going on? A lot of them, I hate the word soft and things like that, but they're soft. And the ones that are not soft, they want to coast and they think, don't get me wrong, I think players should smile, have fun and all of these things, but it seems like man are just here for the sake of here. They don't want to create their own little history. They don't want to be part of a dynasty. They're not dying to win. They're not dying to do this thing. And we're seeing it time and time again, and it's tiring fans out now, people. It really is. It really is tiring fans out. It's upsetting. I don't think Arsenal have any divine right to win things, but what I'm sick and tired of is these same recurring themes. Comical errors. Look at this team, people. Bury them probably scratching the surface for championship clubs. How many of these guys can play for top 6 teams? There's about 4 of them. I think Martinelli can. I think Saka can. I think Aubameyang can. I think Torreira can. There's not too many other. I think Leno can as well. Definitely because he's better than Kepa, so we can sneak him in the Chelsea thing. Top 10. you know, there's a couple more that I think, at least I think Tierney can play top 6 as well, even though he hasn't been here long enough. But do you get it? You get where I'm going, people. It's sad. It's sad. It's sad. I don't think these players take responsibility. I don't think these players wanna respect themselves. I don't think these players respect themselves, or you wouldn't do what you're doing. I don't think David Luiz respects himself, or you wouldn't keep doing what you're doing. An error made this many times becomes a choice. He's choosing to do these things. I'm not saying he's deliberately making mistakes, but you're you know, trying to be devious and make us lose. But you're choosing not to learn from errors. You're choosing, and you know, Arteta is very big on video analysis and all these things. I can't imagine, and especially because he was effing at City, I can't imagine. Apologies for the background noise that I can't control. I can't imagine that he didn't brief these players on these things already, people. But that is what it is, man. I've got nothing more to say, so I'm gonna get out of it. It's always a pleasure. People, DG, I'm out.